Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Science of Flipping podcast. As always, I am your host, Justin Colby. I have a super special guest, someone who just in the last year or so I have gotten close with, someone who's made a big impact on me in a large community of real estate investors in the space. Super agent, I would like to call him out in Las Vegas, Mr. John Gafford. What's up, baller?
What's up, man? How are you, Justin?
Dude, I'm doing wonderful.
Glad to be on your show, man. Glad to be on your deal.
Yeah, let's go. Let's drop some knowledge on these cats. Now, you are in my opinion, a super agent. I would argue you are the guy to go to, especially for all things high end in Las Vegas, right? And we can talk very briefly here just about Las Vegas, because I make the point to everybody, this is the new hottest market in my opinion, meaning sports teams are there, right? You have the finals tonight, which they could win. For hockey, you have basketball potentially coming. I think baseball is already set to come. Obviously, the Raiders are there. But just talk to me really quickly about Las Vegas as a market, as I want that to be something people know. Sure. How's Vegas right now? I mean, what's going on in your world?
Well, if you look at the growth that we've had over the last 10 years, there's no other city in the United States that has experienced ever the growth that we've had over the last 10 years. Yep. You just rattled off a bunch of sports teams, but you missed a bunch of stuff. The Aces, the Desert Dogs, which is professional lacrosse, F1, which is it will be the biggest rake in the history of Las Vegas gambling that week when F1 comes. You look at the infrastructure that we built over the last several years. T-Mobile, Allegiant, now the Sphere, which I had the unique pleasure of going through on a private tour, which is going to be, I can't even, it is the most unbelievable facility you have ever seen in your life. And I'm happy to talk about that. But you look at between the tax consequences of California and the massive influx of professional sports into Vegas, we're starting to get different industries that we're not so dependent on gaming. You're starting to see the tech industries moving here with the Switch facility that's come here. Now we've got Mark Wahlberg driving, getting tax credits to build movie studios here. He was just in Carson City talking to our legislators 3 weeks ago. I mean, that is going to explode our market. It's just this town is experiencing growth like nothing we've ever seen across the board. And hopefully we're positioned to continue to take advantage of that as we go forward.
I think you are, and my gut is telling me very similar to what Phoenix does. I started in 2007. Phoenix has sprawled massively. Vegas has the same opportunity to sprawl.
No, that word you just said is why Vegas is more valuable than Phoenix, right? What you just said the word, which is sprawl.
Sprawl.
The urban sprawl that happened in Phoenix cannot happen in Vegas, because all of that land, when you fly in and you see all of that land, that desert, everywhere, you see all that land, all of that is BLM land and will never be released for development.
I did not know that.
Essentially Vegas is an island. We're just surrounded by sand instead of surrounded by water. So what you see is what you kind of get. So you're starting to see a lot of redevelopment on the infill pieces, a lot of gentrification of the older neighborhoods. I mean, there was just an article yesterday that came out where somebody is building the first big development in Naked City, which is like where you would find crack. It's like the worst place in the world. And these guys are gambling a pretty big development in Naked City. That's how valuable the land is here. We will never turn into Phoenix where it takes 2.5 hours to drive from one side to the other. It just won't happen.
That's incredible. So obviously naive. And I want to talk into this naivete I just brought to this conversation. One cool thought though I have is my fund, 𝐈𝐍𝐒𝐈𝐃𝐄𝐒, is actually financing Four Seasons residential development, which I thought is actually pretty cool. So I do get a piece of Vegas
from where I'm sitting.
Yeah, right, I'm in Vegas, baby. I'm getting it done
right there.
So that's an exciting project that my fund is in. But I say the naive part because I want to bring up a subject about this relationship with realtors. You are a mega realtor, but you're also a vastly successful investor yourself, right?
Well, yeah. I want to clarify that just a little bit, because for me to leave the desk and actually go do a deal, it's got to be like 7 figures in the real estate space. So I own Simply Vegas Real Estate. We've got 595 agents that work for us. I have a personal team that's about 15 agents that handle all my personal business because I've accumulated a lot over the last 15 years. We're completely vertically integrated. We own the largest Rocket mortgage brokerage in Nevada. We own that, as well as a very large title company in Clear Title. So I've seen it all. I've been through all the markets. I hear it all. I'm involved on a daily basis. But yeah, I would say mega broker, probably maybe a better word for me than
mega broker.
So that's it. We'll go with that.
I like it. Yeah. So, you're very influential in your space, but what I really believe is a caveat to all this is I'm a firm believer that investors and realtors should work way closer together. And there's been this weird divide over however long I've been in this space where it's a little oil and vinegary, right? Yeah. Where, realtors like, oh, investors are just whatever. And then investors say, oh, realtors or whatever. But I think there's this place where we need to learn how to talk to each other. We need to learn how to communicate, but we need to learn how to make everything a win-win. It doesn't have to be this I win, they lose, I win, they lose, right? So let's just talk about this relationship and maybe even how to communicate together to just get more deals done.
Well, there's a reason for that. And if you look back at the majority of real estate investing education from the late night television infomercials of 20 years ago to the stuff that's going out today, there's still a large percentage of it that will tell you to you just get a bunch of realtors and just have them just pound the MLS and look for deals and do this. They're teaching investors to not value the time of agents. Well, here's the secret. Agents fucking know that. They know that that's being taught. They know that that's happening. So when you get that mass text message that says, hey, I'm an investor, I'm looking for this or that, like we've gotten that text message 1,500 times and we know that you don't value our time. You're looking to waste our time, and that's how it works. So I'd like to lay out a better plan for investors to work with agents that makes sense to the agents.
Yeah, so, let's go.
Number one, you've got to find an agent that's not savvy in investing. Meaning they're not buying their own properties. Now,
that's right.
Like in a company like ours, we do a lot of education on you make money working real estate, but you make more money in real estate. I mean, obviously that's what we try to teach. We try to teach wealth building to our agents, but there's a ton of agents that don't get that education. There's a lot that don't. So for example, if you sent that text like, hey, do you have any fixer-uppers coming down the pipe? And you send it to one of my agents, they're going to say, bro, if I did, I'm buying it.
Yeah.
So waste of time. What you've got to find is that agent where you can be the education piece to bring them along, right? You're going to educate them in the same way that like a team leader in real estate, if you're a good team leader, when you bring an agent onto your team, you're educating them in the ways of real estate, but you know that at some point they're going to leave you and become your competition.
Yep.
You've got to go into it knowing that, and you've got to be a go-giver in that thought process, because that's how you get good people, and that's how you keep them for a specific amount of time. You've got to understand as an investor, you may educate a real estate agent that may do a bunch of work for you, and eventually one day you're going to call them. They're going to say, "Not today, John. I'm actually going to go into business for myself doing this," and you've got to know that. But you've got to create benefit for that agent other than just, I want you to rip off 500 offers at 70% to market value and see what happens. That doesn't make a lot of sense for the agent to do that.
That's right.
You've got to understand, if you're a wholesaler that writing assignable contracts and they go out and write 50 or 60 of them where there's no upside for them at all in the assignment, it doesn't make sense. Partner with them in a way where you're like, hey, what I would like to do is I'd like to kind of teach you what I do. Let's talk about what I do and see where you can plug into that and have that conversation. Yeah. And then not only, like for example, when the hedge funds were buying here in 2011 to 2013, I bought a gazillion properties for Goldman Sachs. I bought a gazillion properties for Blackstone in that. I worked for both of those hedge funds.
Yep.
And there was an incentive for me as an agent, not just to lock up the property, but also to get the best deal I could for the funds, because I participated in that margin for them. they would give me a bonus if I did a good job. It's just like a hedge fund manager. If you're a hedge fund manager, if you're investing in stocks, if they do a good job, they get a bonus, right? So set up a relationship with your realtor where if you hit home runs or you're doing well, they're participating in your upside as well. And it's not just about the 2.5 or 2.6% commission that we're seeing in the MLS right now.
I'm mentally taking notes because I was just looking for paper and my notebook's like a little far. And I'm saying this, dude, because you are dropping a huge bomb right now, word to Bradley, right? Like this is, in my audience is vastly wholesalers. There are plenty of just normal real estate investors, but there's a software, you may know it, Privy. It gives access to a lot of, so this has now become a thing, right? Where realtors used to be against investors and trying to say wholesaling is legal. Now I'm literally getting, students are telling me that realtors are like sending them other investors wholesale deals. I say that to say it is becoming a norm, and to be able to give them the upside is what no one, dude, you are dropping something that I'm going to steal from you. First of all, thank you.
Yeah, steal away, man.
But listen, if I go to you, and I know this is going to be a fake scenario, but I go to you and say, hey, dude, I'm an investor. I flip, I buy and hold. At times I'll wholesale if I absolutely need to, because it doesn't fit my bucket. But here's what I'll do on the wholesale deals. I'll bring you in on a rev share on that assignment if I decide to assign it. In fact, I'm going to give you on my rehab flips, I'll give you the listing. So you're going to get the end listing. You're going to represent me on the buy. And if I buy a rental, we can figure something out. But the assignment part, dude, this is big, because what I've seen through my students and even in my own company, I have my younger guys kind of working the Privy model. Agents thing is like, they need to be more motivated. Well, what motivates anyone more than money?
100%. And here's another thing, like you got to remember, you can't go to the listing agent and do that. That doesn't work with the listing agent, because the agent has a responsibility to the seller to procure the highest offer they can. And if you send an and/or assignee to any savvy agent, they know what you're trying to do. They know you're trying to wholesale it. So if you come to me and you're like, you can double in this deal, I'm going to give you an and/or assignee, and you can participate in it if I wholesale it. Well, I can't do that, because I know what you're trying to do, and that's not in the best interest of my client. So this really only works with the buyer side of the transaction. Now, for example, I had one of my agents come to me and say, I got this guy that wants to list his house, wants to list it. I already have a buyer that's willing to do it, will take it. I can just wrap it up with an and/or assignee, and they'll take it. I can make an $80,000 spread. I'm like, you can't do that.
Right.
Now, what you can do is you can walk in and say, hey, I'm not going to represent you at all on the sell side. I'm just going to be the buyer. I'm going to disclose to you. You're going to disclose that you have no representation from us whatsoever on the sell side, and just represent the buy side. The reason I'm even talking about this is because there's so many states where you're going to see that if you want to wholesale, you got to have a real estate license. And this is going to become the norm in several states. And you're going to have people that are going to get smoked because they're going to go seller direct and then try to wholesale with a license, and they're going to get smoked. So that's the only reason I'm bringing that up. But yeah, going to agents that can work as buyer's agents to participate in the upside of whatever the dispo plan you have is by far the best way to go. That is a language that everybody speaks. Let's partner, not let me burn your time up and write 8,000 offers at 70% of market value, because that is what the message that comes out of these training programs, the shitty ones, that's the message that teaches these students. That's what they get.
100%. But it is viable. And the other thing about this is, and what I mean, it is viable. The MLS is viable. Working with agents is viable. That is the viable part that I really want everyone to be taking note here, is the relationship with me and John would, if he was a working agent, which he's not, he's the broker, right? And me as an investor is a viable way to get a deal a month, maybe a deal every other month, but it's a very viable way to find a good real estate deal. What I always preach and what I coach to everybody is you need to be dynamic. Do not be a one-trick pony. Don't go into every single damn offer with this assignment or a wholesaler. Fix and flip, buy and hold, do all of these things. And an agent's now going to love you. Because like I just said, I give John the retail listing after I rehab it, and he represented me on a buy, and now he's double ending, maybe even triple ending deals. I'm now showing John probably his love language, right? Like, man, this guy's getting me paid, right? That's the reality.
But let me take it up another level. Teach John how to automate the process. What I mean by that is, okay, I already talked about the hedge funds, right? I probably was involved with 300 deals for Blackstone, probably 300 for Goldman Sachs when they were buying here between 2011 and 2013.
Yep.
I did not look at one of them. I never saw one of them. I never looked at a house. I never drove anywhere. I never left my desk. And we bought 600 houses. And here's what we did. We had automated the entire process. And I'll talk about how Goldman did it because it was the harder of the two. So what they did was they said, okay, if you want to work a house, you've got to put it in Salesforce. And the first agent, because there was 3 of us that working for them in the Valley, they said the first group to get it into Salesforce has the right to work the deal. So I had 2 dudes in Bangladesh that I was paying like $1 an hour to every 10 seconds refresh the MLS. Like I didn't wait for the email to come saying there was a new property. I had those dudes refreshing it every 10 seconds. And as soon as it would hit, they would put it in Salesforce. Then I had 2 dudes in India that would pull all the comps and run the comps for me for $3 a pop and run that and get me the comps. And then for $3, that would happen. And then I had a guy in whatever country write me a macro that from their box sheet, from their sheet, their box Excel spreadsheet that Frio had given us or Goldman had given us would generate a GLVR purchase contract and email it to the agent. So it was 100% automated. The whole thing was automated with macros and outsourced people. So you walk into an agent and you're like, look, you have access to the MLS. You have access to talk to other agents when deals get close. I want to show you how to automate this. I want to show you how to automate this system for me because I can't do it. I need you as that piece. If you walk in with an automated platform for people, an automated system, and completely all of that stuff I just said was not hard. Like that macro that generated the purchase contract on a PDF, I paid $65 for a dude on Upwork to do that. It wasn't hard. It's all easy stuff. And if you walk in with an automated system to an agent, now all of a sudden it's like, okay, wait a second. You're going to take most of the work off my plate. You've already got it set up. I'm going to partner with you on the upside. All I've got to do is really work the phone. Yeah, okay, I can handle that.
No doubt.
That's now creating a partnership. Again, I cannot stress enough, the bullshit text message of, you got anything that might be a fixer-upper coming up? That does not work. It just doesn't.
Yeah. And everyone's doing it now, good for them. Privy's essentially changed a lot of our industry in the sense of there's like 100 direct MLS feeds. Now it's not perfect. I'm not saying that, but this is what's happening to you, your team. You guys are getting crushed because there's so many investors out there now going at volume to say, hey, do you have any good fix and flips? Or do you have any good investment deals? And agents now, and I know this to be true, are just simply just ignoring it. So it's no longer working. Based around your time constraint, I want to kind of pivot a little bit. There's a couple things I want to talk about. First, you have a new book coming out. I want to get there in a second. So I know you're very proud of that. Let's talk about that. But as someone that, we're in the same mastermind together and you have a presence about you, you are a team builder. And I think there's a breakage in our space of investing about being a true leader and being able to build a team around yourself.
Yeah.
Give us a little background of how you built your brokerage, how that happened. But then even the fact that, like, we were just talking, a month ago, your retention is insane. Yeah. And that retention is because of you, not because you have the coolest widgets in the office and you have a keg in the back. The retention is because the person, John. Maybe let's talk to a little bit about leadership and team building and retention.
I think the best skill you can have in that department is understanding where people fit. And being honest with them where they fit. I'll give you a great example. For our title company right now, I'm hiring another marketing rep. We're hiring actually 2 marketing reps. And a guy came in today and sat down and he had all of this, like all of the stuff that agents need, right? Like I can do Google AdWords, I can do Facebook ads, I can do Google business pages, I can do all this stuff. All this technical work that he can do. But within 3 seconds, I knew that if he was on the DISC chart, D-I-S-C, if he was on that scale, it was high D, high S.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, high D, high C, which meant he was not going to walk into a brokerage and get the door slammed in his face.
Nope.
It just wasn't going to happen. So I told him within 5 minutes, I said, brother, I've already summed you up. This is wrong for you. However, I believe that you're better to stay independent. Let us farm the work that we need to you. Give me a price sheet for everything you can do and do it at scale. Don't give me the bullshit like I want to knock somebody's head off numbers. Give me the scale numbers and I know exactly what I can do. And you'll end up making more money in a job that you like than taking a job that you hate.
That's
and
right.
Being able, people get so quick to want to just fill a space. Like I need a space or I need this person and I need that. But understanding, like, you've got to really look at these people and understand very quickly, are they going to be a good fit for this job? Are they going to wake up every morning excited about this job? Are they, it's easy to get people excited right now. I think the last time we were at that mastermind, the guy spoke, and that really stuck with me was, have you ever got somebody excited as hell during an interview? And then like the next day they didn't show up because you just got them excited. They weren't excited about the job. They were excited about you.
That's right.
I've done that a lot. And I've really, since that mastermind, stopped doing that. But you've got to really ask yourself, is this person personality-wise built for this job? So that's number one. Number two is, I don't care how good somebody is at what they do. If they're going to screw up the dichotomy of my existing team, I do not want them. If somebody comes in and they don't fit, they don't gel with everybody else, it doesn't work. We've got 595 agents here, I think, as of today, and they're all different. They're all completely different, but they all gel in a way of, they all expect the same things out of each other. And I'll tell you a story about that. One day I was sitting in my office and there was a guy named Bob. This is 8, 9 years ago, sitting out front. He's pissed. He's like, God, oh, son of a bitch. God, too much. I'm like, what's going on? So I can hear him from my office because I literally sit in a glass cube in the lobby is where my office is.
Yeah.
And I hear him complaining and I get up and I walk out there and I go, Bob, what's going on? I'm like, what's happening? He's like, man, this person, this happened and that happened and this happened and blah, blah, blah. And now these people are so pissed off. They don't even know if they want to rent a property. And I was like, fucking rental? You're this and that?
That's what went through my head.
I thought this was a $5 million deal. You're talking about a rental?
Yeah.
He picked up his stuff and he left. And somebody came out of one of the offices and they just said, who was that? And I knew instantly he had to go because they were like, that is not how we pull the rope here. So, making sure that the position is good for them and making sure that they fit in with your existing team are the two key things that I would say are most important building those teams.
One last thing before we get to the book, because I'm just so intrigued. I have a business, and him. He's also in our mastermind, Greg. He's there in Vegas.
Yep.
So we're on a buying rampage. We are buying like crazy, and it's great. And I keep saying, dude, because he's there in Vegas, I'm like, bro, we need to get Vegas rolling. We need to get Vegas. And he says, Justin, it is an animal right now. Like, if there's anything, we go high ticket. We buy for $1.5 million. We maybe put $1 million in. We sell for 3, 5, 4 million.
Yeah.
Is that reality?
Multifamily or individual homes?
Single family.
Okay, cool. I'm going to give you a better plan. Keep going.
That might give me the plan because I want in. You know what I mean? I want some of that Vegas love right now. And I don't think it's short term. I mean, either to flip. I don't mind buying and holding in Vegas. And if you have a good plan for us to do that,
I do.
We're either flipping or we're buying and holding as much as we humanly can for the next 24 months. You and I were in the same room. We were talking about this. Hedge fund, Tim told us hedge fund managers are already saying we're at the bottom. This done. There's no more sinking in the economy, especially Vegas. So like, I'm like, oh, we have 48 months to spend as much humanly God-owed money as we can. How do we break into Vegas, bro? Help us.
Here's the deal. You're trying to do low end, probably 300,000 to 400,000, 3.2, maybe a pool, maybe built after 97, or you're flipping the big stuff, right?
Hey,
is that box? Is that right?
We got a real live.
There's your guest. There's a guest.
There's our guest.
There's a guest.
Say hi, John. Hi, John.
I just get a giggle. That's all I get.
This is CL.
It could be a shriek and terror and a runaway. So I'll take the giggle. I'll take it.
Oh, you got a surprise. Mommy's got a surprise. Go.
I'll take it. There you go.
Wait.
But what's your box in Vegas? What's the box?
I think we're totally open. I mean, we would buy $1 million property. We would buy it, whatever. So, I mean, prices, it's numbers.
Well, here's the deal. Okay. Let me ask you a question. I want you to fast forward 3 years into the future. Those studios are built. Will Ferrell's coming here to film a movie for 3 months. Is he sleeping at the Wynn every night?
Sure isn't.
He wants a house.
Yeah.
1 million, 1.2 to 1.5 fully furnished midterm rentals over the next 2.5 to 3 years. And 3 years will be so incredibly valuable. You won't even know what to do with them. You look at F1, right? Look at F1. We have, like, one of my partners, Jason Griggs, that helps me here. Jason's an ace with Airbnb. He has the biggest Airbnb you've seen. If you've watched Ultimate Fighter, the UFC show, you've seen Jason's house. That's Jason. That's his Airbnb. Okay. Barstool just locked up that Airbnb for Super Bowl week for $100K for 5 days.
I love that. But forgive me for being naive about Vegas. Isn't Airbnb like getting crunched in Vegas?
Henderson, well, okay. Yes and no. But again, we're looking for midterm is what we're looking for.
Almost like executive housing, right? 30-day
exactly. Housing. 30 to 31. We're looking for, we have great relationships with the insurance companies that will place people in them when they need to, when there's a disaster at somebody's house. That's been very, very good for us. But yeah, that's the long-term plan. If you can bridge the next 2.5 years, I mean, F1 itself, houses are going for just unreal numbers.
Unreal. It's interesting because Greg and I have a different model than I think most people will buy and hold. We're more for the equity than we are cash flow. Don't get me wrong. We like cash flow. But this bridge that you're talking about is kind of right up our alley. I mean, we'll take this offline so people don't have to hear us talk biz per se.
Yeah.
But it's real. I mean, we would entertain that because it's just math, right? If we can build the equity over the next 48 months and do okay profit wise, but all of a sudden have a $3.5 million house that we have $1.5 million equity. In, right? We're in, right? So anyways, we'll talk that offline. But I would love to break into Vegas because I'm with you. I'm in full support of the town itself. I think you know
that's the move. I'm telling you that's the move right now. That's what we're telling everybody.
Got it. Okay, so let's talk book, dude. I know you are massively proud of this. I want everyone, first of all, I want everyone to be able to find you, reach you, know who you are. So let's talk about, like, where can everyone reach out to you?
Social, everything is at the John Gafford, on Insta and Facebook and everywhere else. I try to keep it consistent across the board. My podcast, The Power Move, you can listen to it on anywhere where podcasts are found, all of those things. So there you go.
I love that.
I'm easy to find.
You are. The book. Let's do a brief breakdown of this.
You know, man, I really wanted to try to leave a mark on this world, whatever you can, whatever you do. And I'm a guy that, man, at 32 years old, I was living in somebody else's house. I was, renting a room, just kind of doing what I was doing, kind of getting by, but not really, having a good life, but not really any moniker of huge success. Sure. And it was really a strange thing. My sister said to me at one point, she said, let's go try out for The Apprentice. And which was a reality show. For those of you who don't know, it's been a while, where the former president would fire you on national television. And I didn't really want to go, but she talked me into going. And then they just kind of kept calling, right? And I wound up getting on season 3 of that show. Nice. Yeah. And that experience changed my life for so many reasons. And it wasn't really the things that Trump said. Trump, like, people say, well, did Trump say anything that was like profound in your life? Not really. No, the answer is no. But who did was Mark Burnett, who was the guy that was running that thing. If you know his story, Mark Burnett went from a guy that was selling T-shirts on the Venice Pier to the most powerful guy in television inside of about 5 years. He made that, which is pretty impressive. And one day, one day we were standing outside of Trump, wherever, one of the hotels, waiting to get our task. And it was one of those days when production was kind of fucked and like nothing's working. The jibs are like, you could just tell things were going wrong. Yeah. Brett's walking around kind of fuming. And Kristen Kirchner, who was on the show, one of the contestants, she goes, hey, you're treading water today, aren't you, Mark? And Mark looked across, just shot this look at her, and he goes, I never tread water, I swim. And I was like, oh, God, man, writing that one down. That was strong as death. And that one little quote kind of turned into kind of a life philosophy for me, because I was a guy that was always kind of drifting along with the current, just kind of drifting along. Yeah. Like so many people are, like so many, you know, you look at kids these days, you look at, you know, 20 somethings, you look at 30 somethings, 40 somethings, they're just kind of drifting along with the current.
Yeah.
And I wanted to write a book about all of the things that I did to escape that drift and move that. And I'm working with some really great people that worked on Tillman Fertitta's book. So I'm excited about it. And it's going to be great. It comes out in February. So if you're a person that's drifting along in life, or you feel like you want something more, this is probably going to be for you.
Well, brother, I appreciate the time you've given me. You and I are going to do a lot of cool things together. So I'm very excited about our relationship moving forward, brother. Keep doing your thing. Everyone go get that book out in February. Make sure you follow John. He's an awesome human, incredible business owner, just the guy to know in Vegas. So, brother, I appreciate you. Go Knights tonight. Let's go.
Go Knights, go, baby. Tonight. Go Knights, go.
All right, man. Later.
Later.